Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you for this opportunity to be here today. I'd like to thank Senator Paul Fogarty for bringing this legislation to this point, and Representative Cale Keeble. It's really important from the standpoint expanding the board from 3 to 7. And what's really important to me as a water resource person. We do have a limited water resource up there. Burrillville does sit, especially the Buck Hill area, at the second highest point in Rhode Island. We're at the top of the watershed. We're not down lower where we're receiving ample amount of surface water or other springs that are coming through. Wallam Lake is probably the furthest point, which is a shared lake with the town of Douglas, Massachusetts. So with that being said, aquifer is just a little further down Clear River, just in the vicinity of the Wilson Reservoir, and extends a bit of a distance, and it supplies drinking water for the town of, for the village of Pascoag and Harrisville. And it's very important having that water resource on this board so that they can do the proper analysis that we need, whether it's some type of hydrology to find out how big our aquifer is it being replenished at the rate that we have now, and can it support a power plant? And as you can see, I do oppose a power plant for reasons because I'm a butter to the right-of-way of the power line for sure, and all the noise. But with the water problem, it's very important that we have that person on the board. And I was able to do some research with Santa Monica, California, and I had the opportunity to talk to the water manager. Her name is Marion Cordessa. She's an environmental chemist. They do have a success story. Mr. Nyland from Invenergy did cite that, so that enticed me to do the research on it. I had a lengthy conversation with her. Her door is open anytime for me to contact her. And they did have a pollution problem of MTBE, and the saturation was 700 parts per billion. And she gave me some guidance on what really needs to be done in our town. Similar problem, ours are probably more intense and concentrated towards our well, but it was remediation that solved their problem, and it took a 14-year period from the onset. Their city of 89,000, much larger than Pasco, of only several thousand in that particular area. But it took 14 years to remediate. Filtration took care of the rest at the very end when they got the pollution down to a manageable level. So I find the water resource person is definitely a plus. Having more people on the board is a plus. Having more people here in committee certainly helps you to debate the issue and get a broader base to make a clear and concise decision. And then on the second part, with the town council having a voted initiative on the tax treaty is very important. I think it's a win-win for the town council. I really do. It puts them in a better position so that they can turn around and bring this back to the voters. We'll have our open meeting. They'll be able to discuss everything, bring everything out, the good, the pros and the cons, and they'll allow us to vote on it at a set date. Whether we win, whether we approve the tax treaty or disapprove, we would live with that. That is our democratic process, and it's a great process. We know that. We elect the officials here, and it's having that democratic process is very important to us. It's only one more step. And if we did reject a tax treaty, that just means that they go back to the table again and tweak it. After all, we're going to have informational meetings that will bring out our problems that we need to address. Not all the council people understand all our problems. Matter of fact, we only have one council person that lives somewhat close to our area, but none of them live up in that region at all. So it's very difficult for them to identify with us on some of our concerns. We do have a problem with Spectra Energy at this point. It is a very loud facility, and hopefully at some point they will rectify the problem. Our council recently had sent a letter to the FERC citing that problem. And so I think this legislation is a great thing for us. Why I'm against a power plant was simply There's a right-of-way on the side of my property. I'm in a butter. It's only 300 feet wide. The right-of-way extends to 500 feet wide, maybe a half a mile away. So coming out of the power plant is only 300 feet wide for the first 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile at the most, and then it opens up to 500 feet wide. So they want to put these big towers right where there's no more room left. That puts a lot of pressure on the people living around there. You really don't know what the magnetic field is going to give off. It's very difficult to find really good scientific information on it. So it's very unsettling. So that's why I'm against the power plant, period. Just wanted to let you know, I'm a 32-year member of the Providence Fire Department. I've worked my way up through the ranks. I retired about a year ago as the fire marshal. So I understand regulatory processes and how you have to go through everything. And I think this is a very good piece of legislation for the community, and it is targeted for this particular thing. Nowhere else in this state do we have such a major gas line cutting through the northwest corridor along with a power line. We're just ripe for being a target. And it was just several years ago, to see how the competitive process of power plants are. Long Lake Energy, directly across my house, which of course I said I was a butter to the power line, had proposed a power plant there. It was going to be a peaker power plant. But there was another power plant over in Dayville that beat them to the punch. As quickly as they came in with proposals and they're ready to go to town and get this approved, they disappeared. It was just competitive. And Dayville won, and they built their power plant. So getting to one more item is we do know of the Northern Pass. We've all been up to New Hampshire. It's only a matter of time when they finally get everything approved and they get through all the towns and they're able to extend the power lines coming out of Quebec. But what's coming out of Quebec is hydro. It's clean. There's more than 2,000 megawatts that they want to send down into southern New England. So I'll leave you with that. Any questions?
Are there any questions or comments for this witness? Thank you. Ma'am, you can proceed.